So I thought I'd take a minute and we'd have a conversation about my cook kit. I tend to like to cook a meal for my evening meal. I want a hot meal when I get into the shelter or wherever I'm gonna camp at night, that kind of thing. I tend to eat away from where I camp, just to be one more small precaution against bears and that sort of thing. But I can do a hot or cold breakfast. It may be pastries. It could be oatmeal. I have done a couple of canisters or containers of oatmeal, mixed them up first thing in the morning, eat a little bit then, and then put the rest in a cozy and carry it with me on down the trail, and then about 9 o'clock or something, have a second breakfast and finish off that oatmeal, do that kind of thing. But breakfast, again, hot or cold. I never cook lunch. I don't have the desire to cook anything at lunch. So I'm usually eating finger foods and sausages and cheese and, wraps with PB&J or something. I'm MacGyvering something for a lunch meal that I don't have to cook. But when I get into that evening meal, that's my time. That is when I definitely want a hot meal, and I'm willing to take the time to use a cook kit, boil some water, rehydrate a meal, do something along those lines. So let's look at everything that I have for my cook kit is all contained inside here. There's a lighter, cook pot, stove, fuel, everything, all right there in that one little compact bit. So lighter, try to get the coolest Bic lighter that you possibly can. And we're going to take this guy and throw him over there. And there's my cook pot with my lid. This is how I tote my denatured alcohol, and I'm using an alcohol stove. This is an old one. I've got to get one. I got to do one with my new trail name on it. It's got the old trail name on it, and also my DIY windscreen. So we got that there, do that guy there. This is a Toaks titanium 700 milliliter pot. This guy, that may seem really, really big, but the tendency I have is that I'm gonna boil enough water that I'm gonna have plenty to rehydrate my meal. I will generally have enough left over for some cocoa or maybe some coffee or something, some kind of a treat drink, something, to kind of make me feel better. I don't know, feel more human, who knows? So there's the pot. This again is a Fancy Feast alcohol stove that I actually made myself. They are super, super easy to make. Fancy Feast cat food can, a section out of an aluminum beer bottle, and a little bit of fiberglass mesh. All of the fiberglass mesh you can find at Walmart. Beer bottles, if you drink, great. I don't, but that's not a judgment call on anybody but myself, I guess. The beer bottles I got from guys that work for me. So there's that, and then obviously, like I said, the Fancy Feast can. So my stove and my titanium. This is a piece of titanium that I got and cut from Dutchware Gear. Dutch is a great resource. If you don't know about his website, you need to go out and check him out. But I got a sheet of titanium, cut it up, put the holes in it, and it does fantastic for a windscreen when and if I need one. We'll just put that over there for a minute. The lid for the Toaks was pretty basic. I did take some Sugru and I put a, I don't know, I guess heat barrier. And that's really good to pick it up by and check and make sure everything's boiling and that kind of thing. So I will take, put fuel in the stove, light it, have water in the pot, and the pot rests perfectly. There's a little ring right there that pot just sits right in the middle of and just is perfect. Can't always know I'm dead center on that thing, but I'm generally pretty close, and that's all good. If I have to have the windscreen, well, there she goes. And I can leave one side open. I can adjust that guy around however I need to, when I need to, and use it that way. If I need to close it all the way off, I can. It's designed to fit directly around that pot. There's just the tiniest bit of room around the top edge, but other than that, it's a pretty snug little fit. So put that guy back. So that is my cook kit. Now the little vapor bottle here, this is actually what they call a vapor flask. It's designed for you to carry your liquor into the backwoods. It is, I want to say 12 ounces in capacity. I don't have to carry quite that much. You probably can't see it very well on camera, but if you can, you'll note that there are just kind of like little lines across here. That's part of the design, but you can use those as markers to kind of have an idea how many ounces of fuel you have. Generally, if I'm going to boil 700 or 600 milliliters of water, about an ounce of fuel is all I really need to get that done. I'm generally filtering all my water before I consume it anyway, so boiling is not as necessary for purification of the water as it is just to have the meal to be hot. So how about we take a stab at this? So we'll light this monkey, set this sucker on fire. But this guy is super rugged. There we go, that ought to do. And we'll put him back over here. Oh, probably need my water. I like to use vapor water bottles as well in case you, if you want to see a review on that. Hey, I can hook you up on that too. And we'll go about half, maybe a little bit more than half right there. All right. Now, that fuel gets wicked up along the edges of that fiberglass mesh. So all I really got to do, there we go. You got to be real careful with denatured alcohol because it burns very clear. It's hard sometimes to tell if something is actually lit, and I got a little bit of breeze coming from that other direction, so I'm going to throw that windscreen right there, and we're going to peek underneath there. It's not quite centered, but we're pretty close, and that is going. So we're going to leave that alone. I could probably put a timer on this, but I'm not. Okay, you can see a little bit of steam coming out of there, and I can hear it. And that, my friends, is a rolling boil. Yes, my dear, rolling boil. So there you go, got a nice rolling boil. You saw that, I used the other camera to show. This is pretty much how everything is intended to be for my thru hike in 21. Will there be changes? Yes, possibly. Not 100% guaranteed, but I am playing around with the idea of I definitely need to put some more Sugru on the handles here. I just did the bottom half and the top half of those because That's where I'm going to pick it up at, and so that all kind of works out fine. But I'm going to go ahead and finish putting the kind of the rubber barrier there, if you will, because again, these things get really hot really fast, particularly if you're not paying attention to where that flame is coming in contact with those handles and that kind of thing. So there'll be probably some of that. There is the possibility that I'll change the pot. Tokes makes a 700 milliliter that is not kind of short and squat. It's a little more tall and slender, and I may do that simply because it'll fit, have a tendency to be closer to the same diameter as the Fancy Feast stove. Now, having said that, you know, it sits pretty centered. You know, I mentioned the little ring under the bottom is just the right size for that and all that. So all that works really good. I may add a pot stand, something just a little bit larger diameter than the Fancy Feast stove, so that when I put the pot on there, it's got a little broader base, so it won't be as squirrely, as tippy and that kind of junk. You know, so that's one way to go. So there may be a few changes. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I need to redo a pot, make another one that has my new trail name on it, just because I'm nerdy like that. No, that's kind of fun. So having said that, show you how we pack everything up. Of course, when the pot's deployed, we're going to put the handles in. The windscreen goes in next. It is got a good bit of spring to it. So when I kind of close it in on itself, it just sits right in. It's the perfect height. I made sure I got that correct when I slid it in there. It is the perfect height, so that when that pot is on the stove, it's just above the edge there a little bit, so I got good protection from the wind, but it's not so tall that it doesn't fit inside and underneath the flush point of my lid and the pot itself. Okay, so windscreen goes in. Generally, my cook pot goes to one side, okay? Now, the reason being is that flask, even when it's full, it's got a little bit of volume to it, but it is moldable, so I'll tend to put that along the edge there. Hello? Good, and you can just kind of smush it down. It's all good. It's not gonna hurt anything. I don't have any sharp edges in there that's gonna puncture that bag, so that's good. The other thing about that is, by doing that now, stuff doesn't rattle. Okay, if I didn't have that in there, and that's gonna drive me nuts. Yeah, I hate that. No, not gonna do that. So anyway, water bottle or not water bottle, denature alcohol vapor flask goes in, lid goes on top, all that goes in back inside the little orange container bag here. All right. And we cinch up that drawstring nice and tight. And I will take the lighter, and I tend to leave the lighter on the outside of the cook kit, but just inside that mesh baggie, so that I don't smoke, but somebody else might. Maybe they need a light. Maybe they need to light their stove, and it's mid-afternoon, and you know I'm not gonna cook, so we're not gonna have to unpack everything, all that. I can just reach inside that, grab that lighter, hook them up, throw a little trail magic at them. Life is good, okay? So there you have my cook kit, all in its nice little compact size. Yes, it will likely stay the same, but there are chances that it will be added to, taken away from, and or revised as things go along. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure and give that sucker a couple of thumbs up, y'all. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click on the bell notification and share this video with your friends who like watching water boil. It's always good. And until next week, take a hike and love somebody along the way.